Okay, continuing my critical Let's Play of Modern Warfare. In the last episode, well, 2 episodes I guess, we did all Ghillied Up, the back in the day sniper mission when Price was but a lieutenant, when he got introduced to Zakhaev. Still haven't really learned why Zakhaev is necessarily so evil or powerful, other than the fact he could dodge a sniper bullet, I guess. The point is he's a big bad guy. I was saying at the end of the last episode how there isn't really a sense of a big important story yet, just lots of kind of well done isolated missions, which kind of continues for the rest of this game. And it isn't really until maybe the next game of Modern Warfare 3 that it really tries to give you a sense of a character-driven narrative tying back into events in this game. I remember the first time I played this, it wasn't really until the final moments that I found out, quite to my own surprise, that I was actually committed to these characters, especially to Price. I didn't even really thought of Price as a character until towards the end of this game. And it's only really in retrospect, I think, that I enjoy it as a story, which is strange. As a commitment you kind of have to put yourself into, because the game doesn't really ask you to do that, it just kind of wants you to mindlessly move through it. So anyway, now we're defending ourselves among these houses, this village and barnyards that we were fighting to get to. Last time we saw these people because we're waiting for our extraction after we killed Al-Assad. I still assume we weren't actually meant to kill Al-Assad, but that Price just kind of did it for no apparent reason because he got shitty about Zakhaev still being alive or something. And really, the later games you find out that Price really is quite unhinged. Especially in Modern Warfare 3. Really, this whole series is just a precursor to me wanting to talk about Modern Warfare 3 a lot, because I think the way it all comes together in that one is fascinating, but we'll get to that. In the meantime, you'll have me trying to get to it too early, then saying we'll get to that, and then stopping. So in this mission we just kind of sit here, shoot them a lot, and then we fall back, and we keep falling back towards the extraction zone. And the whole point is essentially to buy us some time.
They're targeting our position with mortars. It's time to fall back. Right, so get to the minigun and cover the western flank. Go. 2, falling back. 3, on the move. 3 here. 2's in the far eastern building. We've got the eastern road locked down.
So you have to hold down left trigger to make the Gatling gun spin, and then right trigger to shoot.
Got him.
I really like the feel of the kind of gun tones like this in Modern Warfare. That kind of like, it's not high pitch, it does this kind of sound, along with that kind of underlining kind of crosshair. Kind of feels more like a laser of metal just slicing through things rather than a Gatling gun spraying bullets. It just feels way too accurate. It's probably slightly morbid to say I enjoy the feel of it, but it's got a very particular feel, that's for sure. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. Right, okay. Thanks for replying.
So, use the detonators. There's 4 of them in the tavern. Move!
So I gotta blow all these up. So the idea of this whole mission is just kind of a really kind of desperate defense.
Get to the barn at the northern end of the village and stop those tanks. Use the javelin in the barn.
Oh dear.
Fall back to the farm at the top of the hill. Let's go.
Oh, you think I know my way around this house?
Fall back! Fall back!
So, the javelin's in the barn. Move, move.
There's another way to leave that house. Let's try that again.
Use the detonators. There's 4 of them in the tavern. Look.
Oh. Okay, you guys are okay. Oh, damn it. Okay, the checkpoint was before blowing stuff up. Should have paid attention to that. So these, we can assume, Zakhaev's and Al-Assad's men, the ultra-nationalist Russians who want to take over the country.
That's in trouble. So, get to the barn at the northern end of the village and stop those tanks. Use the javelin in the barn.
So we're falling all the way back now. The point I was going to make with that is that, the repeated point I guess, that it's never quite clear which Russians are quote-unquote bad Russians. Right, so this mission doesn't start at this barn, which I thought it did. So it would be possible that Al-Assad is just in whatever house he'd go to last. I'm sure by the time I put these up, someone will have already confirmed that with me on YouTube or something. So we have the same javelin mission now. Nothing new about it, as when we did it with Jackson a few missions ago. So now this is where this mission takes a sharp turn after you're defending this space for a while.
Bravo 6, this is Falcon 1 standing by to provide close air support, over.
Yes, you get to
Bravo 6,
throw jets on people.
we just crossed the Azerbaijani airspace. ETA is 4 minutes. Be ready for pickup. Bravo 6, the LZ is too hot. We cannot land at the farm. I repeat, we cannot land at the farm. We're picking up SAM sites all over these mountains. Roger, stand by for airstrike. Bravo 6, we're getting a lot of enemy radar signatures. We'll try to land closer to the bottom of the hill to avoid a lockout, over. Oh, we've got to be taking a piss! We've just busted our asses to get to this LD, and now they want us to go all the way back down! Let's get it, guys! We've got to get to the new LZ at the bottom of the hill, now! Go! Take point!
So after we fought tooth and nail to get back here while defending our path, we're now being told to run all the way back down to where the previous mission started at the bottom of a hill. In a very short time frame, which I find quite amusing. So it's a little bit meant to be, I guess, one of those kind of mocking military intelligence, screwing over soldier kind of thing, which you always see in military films and whatever. But it also creates quite a fun level, and super frustrating because suddenly you've got to figure out how to get back down there. Oh my god, this is not good. You just keep throwing airstrikes ahead of you and then hope you don't run into them.
We're gonna get left behind! We've got to get to the landing zone! Roger, stand by for airstrike.
What did I even send that airstrike? I don't even know. Oh my god. Shit. This is not good. Shouldn't have jumped down. Mankind needs to put an end to war. I'm sure creating a whole bunch of military shooters is really going to help, but...
We're gonna get left behind! We've got to get to the landing zone! Bravo 6, this is Falcon 1, standing by to provide close air support, over.
Also forgot how long it takes to pull out for heavy machine guns. Should probably just put an airstrike down there.
Bravo 6, be advised we are almost there, but we're low on fuel. You guys have 3 minutes before we have to leave without you, over. We're gonna get left behind! We've got to get to the landing zone!
Oh.
Bravo 6, this is Falcon 1, standing by to provide close air support, over. Target confirmed, stand by for airstrike.
Oh, that looks like a gun. So you have music like this just start to slowly come in as well, with these kind of timed scenes, which is... I always quite like how it does that.
Roger, stand by for airstrike. Got 2 minutes, over. Copy that. We're on our way.
You know, it's very kind of typical, kind of sad horns and stuff.
Let's go, let's go. Come on, let's get down the hill.
Quite different from the kind of dramatic percussion while we were trying to escape from Chernobyl. Makes you feel much more, I guess, unlikely that you're going to escape with that kind of music playing. Like, it's kind of a sad retreat rather than a victorious escape. I never quite explain what happens to all the troops you leave behind you as you run past. Little time crisis-y like that.
1 minute to bingo fuel. Get to the bottom of the hill.
I know, they're running out of fuel. What are the chances?
Confirmed, stand by for airstrike.
Come on, airstrike. Shit, 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 shit. Nope, 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 nope. I was hoping to just pick up another gun quickly. That didn't happen. I think I ran into my own airstrike there. I didn't realize the checkpoint was after I called it in. I guess I ran into it again. Maybe I should walk backwards. I guess that's the issue with these slightly more open spaces. It's checkpointing can be quite confusing when it's super scripted and linear. Can't really get lost. God, where'd you all come from?
Roger, stand by for airstrike.
Right, there's always that third explosion.
Get to the bottom of the hill! Move, move! Target confirmed. Stand by for airstrike.
That went a bit better. I don't think you meant to go that way. I always end up having to stand here and wait for everyone else to get here.
Let's go, let's go!
Can't even look up to get to that dude. This kind of animation of these 4 guys getting on is like almost, well, probably is identical to the 4 getting on from the last mission. So I don't know if you just noticed, one of those people I just got on was Sergeant Griggs, who was one of Paul Jackson's sergeants in fake Middle Eastern country. So now we're seeing this convergence of the 2 squads come together. I guess the other squad wasn't with Jackson on that helicopter, maybe they were on a second helicopter that didn't crash. I don't know. Anyway, as this loading screen shows, they are now together in a joint operation.
Well, we got that bastard.
Still, he's not the one responsible for killing your Marines. Sorry, mate.
Imran's a curve, huh? Man's a ghost. Intel says he's gone underground.
Well, I got a plan to find him.
I'm listening. Daddy's boy.
Zakhaev's son, commander of the ultra-nationalist forces in the field. Rotten apple doesn't fall far from the tree. The loyalist Kamarov has got a location on the kid.
And the little punk...
So we're going to go after Zakhaev's son to try to flush out Zakhaev. If you remember from his fashionable blue tracksuit, this is the guy who was in the car stealing the president that we played in the opening credits.
Checkpoint is directly ahead. Not bad, Kamarov. This'll do nicely. Vulture 1-6, we're in position.
So you kind of have these characters that were introduced earlier, not through the playable characters we're playing, but through other playable characters now dead. And then you see them as a different player and you're like, oh yeah, it's that guy. Or you don't recognize you've even seen him before until you play the game a second time. But it kind of shows how Al-Assad and Zakhaev were working together. Anyway, so now we're working with the Americans, some of whom survived the nuclear blast, to get to Zakhaev through his son. So what we're doing at the moment is trying to capture this checkpoint, and then later, when he comes through here, we're going to ambush him. This is a really short mission, but it's one I really like. It's another one I really like the pacing of, as you kind of are chasing him through these city streets.
Area secure.
I should probably take a more useful weapon for later.
Alright, let's get this place sorted out. Change into the enemy uniforms and douse the fires. Kamarov.
So here we have the SAS, Kamarov, the old quote-unquote good Russians, is helping us again. And now the Americans are here, like Sergeant Griggs. I don't know why the Americans are here. I guess the Americans are here because they're pissed off they got nuked. So now everybody's together, of course. I guess really the only reason everyone is together is because the stories are converging, therefore we need the characters to converge as well. That's probably the only reason they need.
Bravo 6, this is Vulture 1-6. We're tracking an enemy.
That's kind of being stressed here with,
6 vehicles and
you know, putting up in the clock tower, the watchtower with Sergeant Griggs.
nobody fires a shot.
Just to kind of stress, hey, in case you hadn't seen him yet, go with him. And, you know, you can see these people on the roof, you know, not in uniform. Just to kind of highlight the ambush, like kind of putting you at the furthest point away from the ambush, so that you can kind of see all of it happening at once. The thing is, we want him alive,
Sir,
so he's got a red.
target in the third vehicle, and I'm walking by it right now. Copy that. All teams stand by. The target is in the Jeep in front of the BMP. We need to take him alive, so watch your fire. Stand by. Stand by. Smoke him.
Of course, it's hard enough to know who's who when Not everyone isn't dressed as a Russian, but... So now he's trying to escape, and he drives right into our tower. So you have this nice slow-mo version while you're trying to get up, and of course you see him trying to escape. I'm not in control of the camera right now. It kind of quite clearly says, you know, chase him. I have to manually stand up though.
We'll handle the enemy reinforcements and catch up. Go, go! Bravo team, this is Vulture 1-6. I'm tracking the target. Damn, this guy moves fast. The junkyard to the northwest. Get his ass. Move, move. Okay, the target is moving. North. He's headed towards the outskirts of the city. Be advised, this area is crawling with hostile forces. Over.
Why aren't I running? So you kind of got to like weave in and out of the houses while trying to catch up to him.
Check your fire, check your fire. We gotta take this guy alive.
Yet another objective to kind of force you to keep moving. Oh my god, why won't you die? Oh, I hope someone kills that dog. So you got a helicopter watching him and telling you where he's going, as Fat Big Shadow kind of says. You really gotta listen to him so you don't get ambushed via helicopter. Because I like that kind of teamwork thing that they keep returning to, even as you're kind of an invincible dude. Yeah. You know, it's all on you, but still kind of that sense that you need their help to do it. Whoop. What? I thought you were one of us. If it wasn't for the green names for allies and the red crosshair on enemies, it's pretty impossible to know who's who. It also kind of shows, I don't know, it's nice when it's clear the voice recording of a game hasn't been done separate from the game, like when they've taken things specifically as, oh shit, you know, behind the green car, they've clearly made sure there's a green car there. I don't know, like it's simple, but it's nice they've actually thought about it. Because when you spend this much money on a game, you can make sure those kind of things match up. So yeah, we still have a helicopter supported us again. He was seen entering this building. That wasn't made clear yet.
Northeast part of the building, second floor.
I like the first person in this building just happens to have a shotgun. I don't think any of these things are accidental. And again, now we've kind of got victorious music as we're running through here, like we're getting closer to our target kind of thing. You know, fighting through as opposed to running away. I like this, you come up these stairs, and on your left you just kind of suddenly start getting shot by this gun turret that he has to take out. So you kind of got like bits of building selectively taken out. To kind of create a framing of this action of the helicopter versus the turret. You know, the roof's gone so you can see him up there. you know, this kind of clear corridor from here to there. Like, it's all very deliberately sculpted, you know, for these kind of cinematic moments. And the way the environment is sculpted like that, I often really appreciate. We'll see another one very shortly. I think one of my favorite ones in the games. So kind of these stairs, and we're kind of getting these voiceovers that he's on the roof. Now Gaz is yelling at him to drop the gun. And then we come in here, and we first see him framed in here, like with a helicopter behind him and Price, before we come around. And we kind of like go from his side over to our side, like this kind of change of perspective through moving through the landscape. And then he shoots himself, so we can't capture him in forced slow-mo. But it's just this really terrific use of the and it stays slow until you walk up to him.
This is Bravo 6. Zakayo's son is dead.
But you just have this terrific use of the environment, like as you kind of come up that corridor and out here, like kind of like different camera angles, like from, you know, the perspective of him, then the perspective of the allies, and you get that just through moving through the environment. And I just really appreciate that kind of cinematic framing through the environment.
Prostituted us to the West, destroyed our culture.
So now obviously Zakayev is angry that we killed his son, and it's because, you know, the glory of the Soviet Union has been embarrassed by the West, you know, the same every post-Soviet terrible Tom Clancy story.
They are the invaders. All US and British forces will leave Russia immediately, or suffer the consequences.
It's quite simple.
So essentially now he's pissed off. He's taken over a whole lot of nuclear silos in Russia, and he's going to nuke the world because he's pissed off that we killed his son. So now we have to go stop him from nuking the world. So we're reaching the end of the game, but we'll save that for the next episode or two. But there is that mission. Really nice example of a kind of cinematic framing, embodied cinematic framing the game does that I really like. And we'll leave it there for now. Cheers.